Hey friends, it's Ashley and today I am here with a new layout for Citrus Twist kits, and I am using the May Crave mini kit and the May round trip add-on kit for this layout. I'm also using one of the cut files. This is a cute little film strip with a flower. It also has a selfie title with it, but I left that part out because I wasn't necessarily documenting a selfie. This is just a little trip that we took for the weekend down to the beach. And so I'm going to get started here with some of the papers from the round trip add-on. And I am going to back the little film strips with a mix of papers and my photos. And so I just traced around this one. And since I had my pencil mark on the front, I wanted to go ahead and erase that so you wouldn't see it behind the cut file. And this is one of the best erasers I have found for erasing pencil lines. It's from Heidi Swap. She has it in her shop, but it's currently sold out. I will still link to it in the description box below. I'm sure you can do notify me for when it comes back in stock. But if you're working with cut files and backing things, it's a really good eraser for getting rid of those pencil lines. So I wanted to use that little quote just because I thought that was a good quote to go with the photos here. And I'm also going to put one of my photos in just so you can see how I did the paper and the photo. And the background paper is actually one of the 12 by 12 sheets. And I cut it down because the little floral border on the two sides actually went around the whole paper. But I wanted to cut it where I had the floral just down the outside of each one of those pieces. So you can see how I cut that just to have it going down the sides. And we were at the beach. This was a restaurant, a taco restaurant down at the beach. And so I wanted this to have kind of like a floral, tropical look to it. So with the mix of the pattern papers and the cut file, I kind of get that look that I'm going for. And so now you can see I've got those little film strips backed, and I'm going to do the same process to back the flower. So this time I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to trace inside the lines this time. And when I trim this, I'm going to trim outside of those. So you're kind of either trimming like a little border or kind of inside your lines, depending on what part of your cut file that you're tracing. And before I did the main part of the flower, I wanted to do that little center part there in the middle so I could get a different pattern paper there. So I just did the little circle and I'm going to cut it out of this yellow pattern. And then I am using Glossy Accents as my adhesive for any of the liquid adhesive that I'm doing. This has got a really thin nozzle on it, so it makes it easy when you're kind of doing some of the cut files like this. So now you can see the little yellow kind of center of the flower. And now I'm going to go and cut my other big part of the flower out. And you can see where my pencil line is, and I'm going to cut on the outside edge of that just because I need that little extra border to kind of glue to the back side of the cut file. If I had traced on the outside edges, I know it's kind of confusing, I would have trimmed more to the inside because you would have had an excess. So I do it multiple ways depending on how the cut file is kind of situated and the parts of it when it gets kind of intricate. So now I'm just figuring out which way my flower goes and get that turned the right way, and then I will add that adhesive. And I really like all the papers in this round trip add-on kit. It is kind of a travel themed kit, and then the Crave mini kit is kind of filled with different things about food. I think it has like maybe some reading, lots of different little stuff. And I will link to both of these in the description. And I'm also putting this in the new Tangerine album. And that's just the regular Life Crafted size album. So I will link to that also in the Citrus Twist Kit shop. And then I thought this paper would work really well for my leaves. It's kind of a teal color. And I do use both parts of it. I use the grid that's kind of like a lighter color. And then I do cut out some pieces of like the shapes of the map just to get some variation on the way that those leaves look. And you can see that's finished up here. So now I want to get this adhered to my background paper, and I just make sure to get both of my papers lined up together. And then I kind of put my design where I want it. I wanted to kind of avoid cutting into the photo just because the one of the three of us together, it probably would have cut into someone's face because of the placement of it. So I kind of angled it to where most of the right hand side picks up the flower and the left hand side gets the film strip in the photos. And you'll see that when I cut with my paper trimmer down the middle. I just wanted to go ahead and get some of that kind of adhered down before I trim that. And so now I can take my paper trimmer and just go ahead and cut away that excess that will go on the left side of the layout. And I like to just make sure I have that lined up with the ends of the paper there. And then I'll worry about finishing punching my holes once I get done and all that, because I do cover some of those up. So I do go back with a one hole punch off camera and just finish that to get the holes punched back out. And if you are going across both sides of your page and you have something that's bumping up to the edge, it's always good to make sure that you have that adhered down really well. So I'm going back with that glossy accents to get the little pieces of the film strip. You just don't want them to get caught on something once you put it in your album, like on another page or something, and rip any of your pages or pieces on your pages. And since I had a huge piece here, I just used my roller adhesive to put some adhesive on the back of that and get it matched up and get it in place. Now I want to go through these little words and find kind of like my title. So I'm just going to go through and look at several of these until I figure out which one kind of goes with the theme of my layout. There's a lot of cute little phrases in here. You could use multiples. I liked happiness, and that's what I end up choosing because it kind of really stands out and pops over the flower, but it also has those same colors of the little rainbow pattern paper that I used in the film strip on the left-hand side. And I wanted to add some dimension to this piece, so I do pop it up with pop dots. And I put a good bit of those just because I didn't want it to sag in the middle or anything. So I did add a good bit of pop dots to go across that. And once I have my little title in place, I'm going to start embellishing. These are the ephemera pieces from the Crave mini kit. And so when I use ephemera pieces, this is typically my process. I kind of go through the whole pack and I will pick out little pieces and set them to the side that I think match or that I may want to use. Sometimes I use all of them. Sometimes I don't use all of them. But it just kind of gives me an idea of what I want to use on the layout. Sometimes I pick stuff out, put everything back in the package, and then I go back and look again and end up picking some other things. So here are a few that I kind of wanted to go with. I wanted to bring in another flower and just some of the little phrases. I knew I wanted to put something over that part with the rainbow paper. So I try out a couple of things until I decide what I want to go right there. And since I had the happiness popped up on the right hand side, I decided I needed to pop some stuff on the left hand. So I do go and add some pop dots to the guilty pleasure. There's also another cute one in the ephemera pack that I didn't use that says comfort food. It was a purple kind of color, and I really didn't have a lot of purple going on with the color scheme of this layout. So I decided to use guilty pleasure for the tacos for this one. And so I'm just going to place a couple more of those ephemera pieces, and I'm going to bring in some more pop dots to go ahead and pop up that other flower just to kind of separate it from the background cut file and give it that dimension and shadow there. And once I get that one in place, I'm going to go get the chipboard pieces. These are also from the Crave mini kit. And there was also a chipboard flower, and so I wanted to bring that onto the left-hand side of the page. And I just added it right there above the guilty pleasure. And then another chipboard piece that says, "What a girl wants." This one actually didn't want to stick, and I guess it was because it was layered over the pattern paper and the cut file. So once I finished everything, I did go back and add some of the glossy accents to that one just to make sure it would adhere to my layout. And then this is just one of the little puffy stickers. It's a heart, and I was kind of worried that it wouldn't stay on since I was placing it kind of halfway on the eye. So I did add some glossy accents to the bottom of that also. And of course my journaling on the transparent sticker paper, the vellum paper, which is also in the Heidi Swap Shop, and I will link to that also. I really like to use that for my journaling. And it kind of fit perfectly up there in that space at the top. And my trusty Tim Holtz tiny attacher, I always like to use it on any of the little word phrases like that that I add to my layouts. And these are just some little puffy sticker phrases that say remember and lovely. I liked the addition of the black, and so I just decided to add those just to kind of make it like a little cluster there with those word phrases and add some more interest to that spot. And I finally figured out that I wanted to use the camera over the rainbow paper. So it kind of brought that teal color that was on the right hand side of the page over to the left hand side. And so I kind of liked that balanced look of adding the camera. I thought about adding yum, but it was more of an orangey color. And I really didn't have any orange going on. So I decided to go with another of the chipboard stickers. And this one says seize the freaking day. So I added that above my journaling, and there's a tiny little puffy heart here. So I went ahead and put that there just to kind of finish off that little area at the top. And I do stamp my date off camera to finish that whole little journaling spot. And that finishes up my layout. If this is your first time to visit my channel, I would love for you to become a new subscriber. Thanks so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time.